Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another stay-at-home episode from Ask Dave. Today I'm going to answer a question that's been asked several times, particularly recently, if I could show you what my shack looks like and how I lay it out. And so let's do that. I'm just going to grab the camera. Let's go. Well, here's my station. It's my clock. Here's my station right there going over to there. Now, the first thing I want to point out right here is that I can sit at my station. I can't tell you how many stations I've seen where there's no place to sit next to the station. Furthermore, you need some space to put a logbook down, a notebook. This is the rubber stamp that I use to create the little form to fill out in the logbook there. Okay, and I also have right at hand over here my ham radio book, which has got all sorts of details like band plans and stuff. This is the instruction manual for the step IR vertical. I've got a little thing explaining where my antenna pointing is for the hex beam. This is the full manual for the IC7300. I've got a couple other instructions books here for things like the amplifier and so on. And this right here is my station clock, and it tells you the UTC time, and it is connected up to this, which is a GPS receiver up by the window. By the way, that's hanging off an old Hallicrafters S20R. I picked this thing up because I had one as a youth, and that's what got me into ham radio. This one doesn't work very well, but it's a good wall ornament. And over here I've got the computer. This is the new computer down here. And then there's my monitor and keyboard. This computer is new, so I'm still figuring it out. This is the little webcam I use when I do the live streams. Okay, and there's the microphone that I use. And this is the clock that makes that ticking noise that drives so many people mad. That's an actual wall clock. It's manual, spring wound. I picked that up, of all people, from Harbor Freight Tools, a painting to inspire me. And let's take a look now down here. I've got a outlet with surge protectors and so on, because there's always things I need to plug in. Then here is a little USB 2.0 that I can plug things into. There's actually some more over there. There's a total of 7. And as I said, I'm trying to learn to fly. Okay, there's the horn I toot. And there's my little, trying to remember, I call it the San Diego hotspot. But that's my hotspot right there for DMR, although that hotspot will work also with D-Star and C4FM. Okay, so this is the radio equipment right here. This is the reference station radio. It's the only radio I have online. It's the ICOM 7300, currently now tuned to FT8 on 20 meters. Over here I have the reference station power supply, which I can get to very easily. Turn it on right there. This right here is the control panel for the step IR, big IR, vertical antenna. Up here is a watt meter that works either 1 to 300 or 1 to 3000, depending on whether or not I'm using the amplifier. And this right down here is the controller for the hex beam out there. There's a little remote control that goes with it, but I never use it, but I keep the two together. By the way, somebody was wondering what a wire nut is. That's a wire nut right there. It allows you to hook wires together without soldering them. So I have my logbook and I have a notebook. This over here is my key. That's a Bencher BY1 paddles. Over here, I have my SDR Play, RSP1A, Software Defined Receiver. And this right here is to select the antenna that goes into the Software Defined Receiver. Right now, all I have on it, this goes to the receiver. This right here is 70 centimeter 10 element beam, and this right here was the comes from the my MFJ wideband antenna, and here is the little bias T supply that provides power to the preamp in the MFJ wideband receive antenna. This over here is my main switch for antennas. The one in the middle goes to the radio. Actually, this goes over to the amplifier. Okay. No, wait a minute. No, this goes to the amplifier and then from the amplifier into the radio. And then I can select here, which is the hex beam. This is the whatever antenna is under test right at the moment, which happens to be the MFJ 17754, and I will revert that pretty soon back to the station reference antenna, the MFJ 2010. This right here goes to the step IRB, so I can select whichever antenna that I want to come out there. This right up here, this big arm that can swivel around, has got a spot here where I can connect the camera right here. So the camera can aim straight down. And you've seen many, many shots, and I can just push that out of the way. Here's my shack weather station, a Vantage Pro 2. And I've got my my nice many-colored station identifier right here. I picked this up at Dayton, I think, a couple years ago, and it changes colors, so that's very fancy. This right here is the solar monitor. This is the voltage. This is the current that is coming from the main battery assembly down there over to charge the local battery that I'll show you in a minute. Okay, and no station is complete without ample lighting of the surface where you're going to be working. So I keep computer over on the left side and amateur radio on the right, and the thing connecting them is pretty much just the USB connector to the radio there. This is my amplifier. We start out with this monstrous power supply right here. That is a 75 amp power supply. And down here is the amplifier below it. Now it makes the amplifier look small, but if you look from the side over here, you see that that amplifier is that big long thing underneath. And then here is a tap for the power meter, and from there it goes out. It's 500 watt amp. This is the back, which isn't the prettiest part of it here. Okay, I've got a treadmill here, but I've also got a lamp here, which I move out of the way when I use the treadmill, that allows me to see all the wiring that goes on in here. A lot of these wires are just flat too long to be back here, but this is, for example, here's the ground wire from the IC, or the IC 7300, with the power cable, the coax cable coming out, going over to the amplifier. I'm sorry, yes, going over to the amplifier. The transmit for the amplifier, if it had an ALC, it would hook right there. There's where I plug in my key rather than in the front. Okay, this is an electrical outlet. It's got about 10 sockets in it. This right here, this copper bar, is the station single point ground. And then this over here is my DC distribution system. I've got the one for the reference station on order. I've never used all these positions, so I got a smaller one for the reference station. And then down there is the battery when I'm running things off of solar. Now, the reference station parts are running off the Samlex power supply. All right, there we go, a tour of my station. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Until we next meet, 73.